So, what is your hellbound problem at this time? I just viewed some Sai Baba images entitled Arati. And when I heard the Arati in English, it starts with, "The Lord of the universe is here. Swami Satya Sai is here." And I thought that was the same thing. Yeah. I thought the Lord of the Universe was Indian. And I didn't change my opinion until I found out it was me. How long was I a Sai Baba devotee? Oh, well, maybe 22 years. But there were others. Sai Baba was not the only Indian guru avatar problem. There were others. Two of them were female that I can think of. Three of them were female, Indian females. So what I wanted to say about my self-deceased is, who is Sai Baba now? Because if I was in heaven, I would know who that is. But I'm right here in the Godhead, and all I knew when I was sitting in the darshan hall is rewind back to 1980, year 1980, from the year 2002. So I say I'm the soul in front of Baba. Yeah, and he doesn't know that about me. He walked right by me. But he's the avatar and I'm the soul. Yeah, but I don't speak. No, I sat in the darshan hall and I didn't speak. He didn't stop, but he would have stopped to talk to me. I would have maybe said something, but does he speak English? I don't know if he speaks English. So if he doesn't speak English, then how does he know what he's talking about? Because I speak Spanish and that won't help. I can't learn an Indian language. I can learn a little Portuguese. So that's about as far as that goes. I've studied some Hebrew, but that won't help either. I didn't even ask him, "Are you an avatar? Do you speak Hebrew?" Well, I don't speak Hebrew, so I couldn't really say if he answered me, if he said anything in Hebrew, I wouldn't understand. But that's supposed to be my language problem with being Jewish, Hebrew. My language problem speaking Spanish is food. Yeah, Sai Baba died in front of me. Yes, he did. But I didn't say anything because it was not my bad news to me. No. I'm the soul, and he doesn't know who I am, and he walked right by me, and that was wrong to me. I had an emergency that was in India. He's Indian, is not an emergency. I guess not, except for now he's in a tomb. Why would an Indian be in a tomb if it doesn't have an emergency? It would have an emergency that it's not in a tomb, right? Well, it's on the internet if you want to look to see it. That's how I found it, on the internet. I found out about it. The shock treatment. Year 2012, Sai Baba in a glass case would be like shatterproof glass, or like preserving glass. He was in the glass laying supine. Yeah. He had an emergency, clearly missed it. No, I didn't miss it. I was there myself. Well, if he's the avatar, he needs to know who this soul is. And if he doesn't know who the soul is, because that's how he's not an avatar, that's a lot of people in the darshan hall who needed to hear that from Baba in the Indian languages that they speak, because they speak the Indian languages and so does he, and I was there. Well, he doesn't. He needs an interpreter. There are though some Indian female. If he wants to know what happened before I saw him in Darshan the first day, an Indian female asked me, "Do you have a scarf to wear in the Darshan hall?" Because the females wear a scarf, and I did not have one for the first day, and I said, gasped because technically I have to leave the darshan hall, but I wasn't prepared to leave the darshan hall for that reason or any reason, because I came on an airplane. She said get out to somebody in English, and I came on an airplane, and she's an Indian. She doesn't look like she speaks English. No, I would not. Expect that she speak English, but she did. She said get out of the darshan hall in English, pretty much, because I didn't have a scarf. Well, I said, can I bring one tomorrow? And she did let me stay. Yes, but I expect that everybody in her organization of what they call Seva dolls, I guess they're like ushers, sort of, but they're females, um, that they would say that I could be there, but I didn't. They didn't all of them with the scarves on that said that they were the Seva dolls. That they didn't all say that I could stay or leave. I don't know if they talked about it. What was the point of that? There were many of them, Seva dolls. Just one of them said I needed a scarf. They didn't all say that. And which scarf? I know, not a Save It All scarf, because I'm not an Indian, right? I don't have to wear one of those. She had two scarves on. She had one that goes around the neck this way, and like here it comes this way, and the other one is tied like a bandana, and it has labeled Save It All on it. I got a scarf to wear, but that didn't help the problem that I didn't have a scarf. Well, if Baba wanted me to wear a scarf, he didn't say that himself. What was the point? I don't know. He didn't speak to me, but he didn't really make it. He lived about 10 years, and then he's got this problem that he's showing a corpse on the internet. That's not good, because I saw him alive. Well, that's what I mean. We don't know what died. It's illegal. It was an orange robe. It was a corpse. It was on the internet. It was in glass. And now there's another tomb on the internet. Is that what's... he's Indian, and they're reporting that he's Indian, died. I don't know that. I still dream about him. Yeah, he's alive in my dreams. When I see him in my dreams, very much alive. Have you ever heard of Baba Dream? Yeah, I've had a handful of Baba dreams over my lifetime. I don't remember them right now, because now I'm deceased out of that. I have the Dreamweaver and the Dreamer are sort of in union at this time. Elsewhere, that was delayed. Sai Baba didn't make it because he's not nice in the money. Well, I'm shouted in the money, and I'm not nice in the money my own way. What's japa? Chanting. Well, while I was looking on YouTube, Sai Baba videos and information, there was some chanting that was, I don't know, I don't really like it. If I had to sit down and do that myself, I would not want to do that. No. Chanting like Indian words or Indian. The sounds of the chanting are a little bit low. I guess I hold alive a very long time, continuously alive. And that just sounds like it's not alive to me. I don't want to do that because I hold too much alive. I don't die of that as I should. If I was doing that, I would die. I don't die that way. And Stephanie Bookstaff, my babysitter for a day. Well, my babysitters are starting to blend in with the rest of the people who just invite me over to a house as a guest and then they lock me out like it's a job. Do you even care that Stephanie Bookstaff's house, that I'm locked out of there since the year 1984? And you have to lock me out of a house fresh, like to keep my attitude in check. Are you trying to make money, tie up money, and locking me out of a house? But I need the money now. You don't have a life that way with, like, say, Stephanie Bookstaff locked me out of a house in 1984, and I am still alive that way, that she did that. I know who she is. I know what she did. And I can't afford that you're doing that now. I'm approximately not leaving the apartment right here, but I was just invited to go out to eat, and then I don't have control of where the car is going if I get into a car. So it always could stop some places because it might be how you move me around in a car. And I don't afford it that you don't use the credit. And it's bad credit. You don't want the credit. You don't want the credit that Stephanie Bookstaff was a babysitter to myself and locked me out of a house in the year 1984, but I think it's a little later, 1986, maybe something like that. River Hills, that's where the house was. Are we right about that? River Hills, Wisconsin. It was a white house. It had an upper level, an entry level, and I assume a basement, but I didn't see the basement. So that's where I'm not allowed to be in there since the year 1980, I don't know, something, 1986 maybe. I know at first I said 1984, but I think that's a little too young. And I'm not allowed in there. You don't just recycle that I've been in there. You want me to pay out a key to you? I know, but that's Stephanie Bookstaff who's not paying out a key to you because you don't make sense that way. And she doesn't have a life that way. But I do. I'm alive this way. And that's how you keep doing more commission. Than I just don't stop you because you do so much commission and you don't mind. And you don't actually object to the kind of person that you are, but you object to what I am with yourself. Well, wow. It's true that I'm just observing that there's something really wrong with that. Stephanie Bookstaff is doing more crime than it is for herself to be formed. Well, back to India. I like Sai Baba's temple. And he has a red chair. I would not sit in a red chair in front of people looking at me, but I would sit in a red chair because I don't have a chair at all. When I was in India, I sat on the floor, and now I'm disabled. It's not easy to get up off the floor, but when I was homeless, I was able to get up off of rocks and floor, ground, and everything. And then when I was in the restaurants eating when I was homeless, I sat in a chair like a normal person. I didn't have very nice clothes, but I was more or less clean. I had my clothes laundered and I went back out homeless. And I went back to restaurants with laundered clothes, but I was living in the parks anyway. I want Baba's red chair, but he sat in it, so it was his that way. But in one of the images on the YouTube, there was the tomb and the flowers, and the red chair was empty, but it was still there. But not for Baba to sit in it because he's in a tomb and that's forever. He's not coming out of the tomb to sit in that chair. And it has a pillow, it has a little red pillow. What about a footrest? Is there a footrest on that one? I've seen red chair with footrest as well. Footstool, do I say that? Footstool. The Lord of the universe is here. Yep, it's the soul to me. The RT says, the Lord of the universe is here. Swami Satya Sai is here. And from my point of view, that's the same thing. Swami Satya Sai is the Lord of the universe. I didn't think it was someone else. And if I could speak to Baba, I would say, I am the soul. But it's hard to say that maybe to the Indian because the Indian is died out of that it would know who the soul is. As an Indian, it would not know. But the Indians were speaking English to me. So that's how Baba doesn't have it paid for, that he doesn't know who this soul is. There was an Indian who said that I need to wear a scarf. There were Indians who served food to myself, so they speak English about the food if they must to myself. And then there's Indian driver of the taxi or having to do with transportation around India. Indians at the airport speaking English. Baba didn't have it paid for that he didn't know who I am because they were speaking English around to myself and tourists, other tourists that were there. It's not really very personable. If all the Indians were talking to me, why didn't Baba have anything to say to me? Well, I mean, Charles Toe was a problem in the ashram, but it was his idea for me to be there. I was completely abducted, like I was 3 years old in height, but I had the money. It was really hot. The money was hot. So I could have used that. Baba cared for me as much as somebody in the darshan hall who asked me to wear a scarf. Yeah. For him. I didn't have one on. Which way did he want it? Either way, he didn't care. There were so many people there, he didn't care. There were so many people there. I didn't care about those so many people because I didn't know who they were. But I cared about Baba. I was there for the darshan. If anyone asks me, I say, Baba walked by and he didn't say anything to me because I didn't have a problem. I didn't, if that's what he wants, I didn't have a problem. But I'm not an Indian and I was in India and he didn't think that was a problem. I heard Baba give a discourse is the word. And he had an interpreter for the discourse. That's how I know he doesn't speak English. Yeah, but he had somebody standing next to him who was interpreting in English, so I could hear it. Just English, because there were people there from Europe, so they would speak German and Dutch. Europeans speak English. I realize that, but their first language would be German or Dutch or French or British English if you want to speak it in another dialect of English.